Hey, I'm Ange.
And I'm Beck.
And we are the Gold Diggers, because we believe there's gold found in everyone.
Everyone is unique, interesting and exciting with a great story to share.
And we aim to find it.
The question is, can we rise to the challenge and strike gold? Stay tuned to find out as we chat to today's mystery guest.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So this is how it works. One of us knows our mystery guest and the other doesn't. And today it's Beck's turn to discover the gold.
Yes, it is.
And we have Caleb Baker here today.
Welcome to the show, Caleb.
How's it going?
Nice to meet you.
So good to have you. But before we get into your story, I'm going to address the elephant in the room.
Right.
I'm Ginger.
Ginger spice.
I know. I walk in today and our producer Dave goes, "Oh, you've gone ginger, Angela." And I'm like, I'm suddenly getting a taste and a feel of what good old redheads feel.
Yeah.
Like, you know, everyone has to pull out the fact that you're ginger. You know, if you're blonde, don't say, "Oh, you're blondie, aren't you?" No. If you're ginger, everyone has to make note of it. So what do you think? Should I keep it?
I like it.
I know,
do.
like it's beginning to grow on me.
It's like ginger spice.
I read a thing saying that it was the ginger gene is dying out.
Oh,
And like actually dying out. So,
really?
but you can just dye your hair red now and
That's
feel
it.
a part of it, promote it.
Well,
good.
I personally like ginger because I have a few family members with ginger hair. So
Yeah, well, my mum's a
it's looking
redhead.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I'm going back to my roots.
I think it suits you, Ange. Keep it.
I am actually seriously thinking of keeping it. So tell us
I
what you think.
should, yeah.
Should
Yes.
I keep the ginger hair?
Let us know. I say yes.
No,
Go for
thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Hey, Ange, we've had a bit of feedback.
I know.
Yes.
It's good to hear feedback. I love it.
Yes, and I don't say that in a surprise way. It's just that because we normally do. But today we're going to share some, aren't we?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so first of all, we've got Cheryl, and she writes in regards to your mum's podcast. And
Which
she
is Pat?
said- Yes, Pat's podcast. And she says, "Girls absolutely love tuning into this podcast and hearing your mum's story, Angela. What a beautiful woman. She's gold." She certainly is.
She is
That's a
gold.
great podcast.
And she's ginger, so, you know.
Well, there you go. Winning.
Yeah.
And then Terry writes in regards to Ashley's episode, "I am loving watching your podcast grow." So thank you, Terry. We are loving that too.
Oh, it's good to hear from you and to hear your comments. So keep commenting, keep feeding back to us. We love to hear from you.
Yes.
So, on to Caleb then.
Yes.
We have Caleb sat here,
Hello, Caleb.
and he's 34, married to Esther, and has 3 kids.
Right.
And that's it. Off you
Okay,
go, Deb.
That's it. All right, I'm out.
Feels like ages since we've sent you out the room.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So, welcome, Caleb. I know we've been trying to get you in this seat for ages.
Yeah, I've been avoiding it.
I know. Is that what it is?
Yeah, a little
Right.
bit.
You
Sometimes
keep
I'm
telling me
busy.
you're too busy.
Nah, sometimes I am.
But you're busy because you're actually running a community centre. You are the what's your job title
Yeah,
exactly?
so it started as a facilities coordinator.
Yeah.
Mowing lawns, cleaning dunnies.
That's sorry. So for the un-Australian people
Yeah,
that are listening,
cleaning toilets.
cleaning toilets.
Yeah, sort of facilities, maintenance and that. But yeah, my role's sort of a lot to do more with people now.
Yeah.
I still have those other roles, but I spend a lot of time with new people coming into the centre,
Yeah.
making people feel welcome the best I can,
Yeah.
dealing
And
with
you're so good at
complaints.
it. Or what? Complaining or?
No, people complain to us. A gift I have is talking people down.
Yes.
And helping them see the funny side in it.
Yeah,
And
it's
then-
great. And you are
yeah.
so good at it. And you're really
That's good.
great at running the centre. And it's a centre that me and my family are involved in. It's a
Yeah.
big sports centre, community
Yeah.
centre. And you are just the perfect person
Oh, thank you.
to run that. But also, like, you really love the outdoors.
Yeah.
Now, when I think, obviously, I've come from England. And when I would think of your typical Aussie bloke,
Yeah.
I probably would have pictured you, Caleb, to be honest. You're into fishing,
Yeah.
roo shooting,
Yeah.
camping, anything basically outdoors, and you love it.
Yeah.
And I know, like, you've been a chaplain for 10 years
Yeah.
of your life as well. So you've got this real great ability to be able to connect with people. And some of your side hustle, because you've had to obviously support you and your family in that, is that you have been concreting. There was something else you said you were slaughtering. Is that like...
I was working in a meatworks factory.
Yeah,
out
right.
west.
Such a blokey thing, hey? And what is micropod harvesting?
Macropod harvesting is what you said before, roo shooting. So it's macropod management program is essentially the meat trade of kangaroos in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's not we're just driving around shooting them for fun. It's a very, very heavily regulated thing where we were out west. It's just another means for earning money, but I found it enjoyable.
Yeah, well,
just
I'd
being
love
out
to
in
hear
a
more
paddock,
about
in a paddock all night on my own, and it was good. Enjoying peace and quiet.
except when you shoot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to hearing a bit more about that.
Yeah, cool.
And so you said to me that some of your challenges in life have been actually learning how to parent well.
Yep.
And
Still learning.
I think we all are. And I love this in the fact you said it's developing the art of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And that's been a journey for you. But one of your mottos is just have a go. It's okay to stuff up. Just stuff up less the next time round. Love that. That kind of really typifies you, Caleb.
That's good.
Yeah. So let's see what gold Beck can bring out. And let's bring it back in.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So Caleb, I actually love this moment when it's like opening a book that has all the information inside of it, but you're at the first beginning pages and you're about to find out all this
That
story.
just is so you, Beck. Being a publisher, everything's book referenced, isn't it?
Oh, don't you love that feeling of a new book? And then anyway, so
right now I've given the introduction, so you've skipped the introduction and you're into chapter 1.
that's right. We're going into chapter 1. So the introduction told me that your name is Caleb.
Yes.
And you're married to Esther.
Yep.
And you have 3 children.
Yep.
Right. So I'm going to go back to your childhood, first of all.
Yep.
And were you born on the Sunshine Coast?
Born in Brizzy.
Yeah.
In 88.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of people talking about Expo 88. Something happened in 88, and every time I talk about, I was born in 88, Expo 88.
Yeah.
You haven't figured that out yet.
I know what it is. Some big expo in 88 in
I'm
Brizzy.
so tempted to talk about it now because
I'm going to have to Google that. What was so big about this expo?
Can I
Expo.
talk about it?
Do you know it?
Yeah, because it was quite significant.
Okay.
It was massive. It was like our bicentenary of Australia. And we had all these pavilions from all around the world, all in this one place at South Bank in Brisbane.
Right.
And people would travel and have passes for 3 days or a season pass or something and go and see all these wonderful things and parades. And it was amazing. But I remember it because that was when I moved from New South Wales to Queensland. I was literally just talking to my son about this morning because he
You
was
would have only been
asking.
about 8.
14.
Okay.
No, 12.
12, yeah.
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 And that was the year you were born.
The year I was born, and I hear about it all the time. Expo.
See, well, it was the best year to be born. All the good things happened in 88.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Pity you missed it though. Like,
I was there. Supposedly my parents were there, and but I wasn't
You're in a
born
pram?
yet. So
Oh,
No, I wasn't
okay.
in a pram.
Yeah.
I was somewhere else then.
you're right.
Born in Brizzy, and then we end up moving around a fair bit. My dad was a pastor of a church, which had its pros and cons, but we moved from Brizzy to Rockhampton.
Yeah.
And then we're there for 4 or 5 years, and then we moved to the Philippines for 2 years.
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Going from
it was-
Rocky to living in the Philippines for 2 years.
Yeah. I suppose we were at the age where we just did what we were told as far as, well, we didn't always do what we were told, but like if my parents were moving, we just moved with them, and that was it. And if they were...
How old were you
leading
at
the
that
way.
time?
Probably year 2 or year 3. So,
Yeah.
Can you speak any of the language?
Gunti Lung, which means just a little, and I've learnt that word because everyone asks me that question all the time. But I'd count to 10 and all the normal things. My parents could speak a little bit of it, but yeah, we were there for 2 years.
Is that significant in your memory, changing countries at that age?
Yeah, big time. I think it did change us a lot. Like we're probably a bit naive as kids. Like mum and dad now will talk about things we went through over there, but we just thought it was a big old adventure.
Yeah.
Like I have 3 other brothers, so we always had friends to kick around with. But now.
Because you would have been about 7?
Yeah,
grade
7 or 8. Yeah, for the 2 years we were there.
So you would have experienced school here.
Yep.
And then experienced over there. So was it much different?
Yeah, so the school we went to over there was called Faith Academy, which sounds so American, but it was like it was an international school.
Yeah.
I suppose there was a couple local schools in our area, but it was all spoken in Tagalog. So, we had to catch a bus at 4 o'clock every morning that went up to my older brother and I.
Yeah.
That went up, and they had security guards on there because at the time there was heaps of people. Sounds a bit weird, but they were hijacking buses and stuff, and they presume you're rich because you're white.
Yeah.
And so there was always a security sort of.
That would have made your parents a bit nervous.
Yeah, it made them nervous. Us kids couldn't. It didn't bother us. We were just oblivious to what was going on. But now I look back at, Mum must have been a bit of a weapon to deal with.
Yeah.
Probably anxiety over the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And where we lived in Manila was pretty wild. Dad was in a bank hold up once, and but they didn't talk about that till we come home. And
was that the reason they came home? Or
I think I'm not putting it all on Mum at all. I think they sort of did what they needed to do over there, and it was time to move back. And but for us as a kid, it was a core part of our lives. My brothers and I still talk about it sometimes. And
have you ever been there since?
I haven't been back to the Philippines. No. I've done a fair bit of travelling, but not back there. That's when my kids are probably a little bit older. I'd love to go back and sort of go back to the places where we lived and
see how it's changed.
You know, when you see things as a kid and you go back and you used to think something was massive, but it's small. I'd love to see what that's
like your primary school. Like when you go back to your primary school when you're older, you're like, oh my goodness, everything's so little.
I'm actually really surprised at the amount of people that have lived overseas. In Australia, they've lived overseas as a child. There's so many. I'm hearing it a lot in people's stories. It must be a thing that, because I obviously didn't grow up in this country. So for me, that was kind of a rare thing, but it seems quite common over here.
I think as a kid, you remember all the good parts.
Yeah.
You probably don't remember the negatives. I don't know. And whereas Mum and Dad, they'd be able to clearly tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
But it must really give you some great life experience, even though you were so young. But just like to know that the world's bigger than just this country. And
I suppose it's made us very easily to be able to, I don't know what the word is, but adjust to where we are.
Flexible.
Flexible, which is something I like that my kids are. You think they need to have this perfect box-shaped house and whatever, but we camp with our kids all the time, and the more we do, it's like I love my kids to be able to sleep in any situation, and they're slowly becoming that, which I can sleep in any situation. Pretty easy. So
if we'll leave off from the Philippines, what happened next?
So back to Rocky for a little bit, and then ended up moving to Red Bank Plains.
I feel the need to interpret. Rocky's Rockhampton.
Rockhampton, sorry. Sorry.
This is just how
Australianism.
It is.
Rocky. Brissy.
Keep on coming. We'll just translate as you go along. That's okay.
We're Red Bank Plains, out near Ipswich, and Mum and Dad were pastors of a church there for probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
You'll probably add all this up and it won't make sense then, but roughly 3 or 4 years there.
Sounds like my upbringing, because my parents are pastors too, and we moved every couple of years.
It was. People said, "Oh, Red Bank Plains. Oh, we wouldn't want to live there or whatever." But same thing. We were just like late primary school and that. As long as we had mates, we were happy. We didn't care. We could live, and we didn't want to move there. But
easy going and
so that was a pretty big part of our lives, I suppose. But I think in 2000 we moved up to the coast as a family.
Yeah.
And that's, if people say, where'd you grow up? I say the sunny coast, because we sort of, the most part of my life was the Sunshine Coast, or the high school. And,
so your parents here?
12,
they're at Shelley Beach,
Yeah.
So, I think they're pretty happy down there.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
So they've stayed there since 2000?
Yeah. So we moved a few times around Caloundra, but they're at Shelley's now. So
it's, that's nice stability for them after.
Yeah, it is.
Lots of moves.
And we're just looking at them as babysitters now. So.
Okay, so tell me about your children.
Yep. So I have 3 kids. My oldest is Eden.
Yep.
She's 8. And I have a boy, Geordie, who's 6, and a son who is 3, Reuben.
Oh, nice.
So, and they're all as crazy as each other.
It's a great age group, that middle childhood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. They're just, we don't have any babies anymore, I suppose, so they're fun to be around. They just want to have fun all the time, and they don't know when to stop, so it's like trying to teach them, like, come back in, it's time to settle down.
And like you say, it is a great age for camping and all that fun stuff, isn't it?
They still think I'm cool, so I reckon I got another year with my daughter where she thinks I'm cool.
Oh, you've probably got longer. She's 8. Yeah.
You're pretty cool though, Caleb.
Oh, that's
I think
nice.
you've probably got a bit longer than you think.
Well, my cool shoes I got on today.
I know. I noticed
rare.
you pulled out your best.
Nice.
Yeah, I got given these. I'd never buy these, but they're comfy, so...
Well, you don't normally wear shoes, probably, do you?
Yeah, actually, I had them yesterday, and I got so many comments on them because they're so out of place for me.
Yeah.
But then after 2 hours of having them on, a lady got a flat tyre at the centre. It was raining and stuff. I went out and they got all covered in dirt.
Yeah.
And Esther, my wife, felt bad for me, and she cleaned them.
Oh.
Yeah. So they'll be white for at least another 4 or 5 hours, and then dirty again.
Nice. That was nice of her to clean them for your podcast today. So tell me about Esther. How did you meet?
Yep. We went to school together.
Yeah.
Yep. I wouldn't say we dated at school. We just had a lot of mutual friends. I suppose after school we dated for a while. It probably wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
And then we went off and did our own thing. I studied youth work.
Yeah.
So I could get into chaplaincy and work with young people. She's a social worker.
Yeah.
So she had uni and that, and then at the right time, just how that happens, but you sort of see each other again through things. And
how long was the gap?
Oh, probably a year or 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just enough to establish yourselves in your careers kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much, I had to pursue her a bit. She was probably a bit uneasy, but I won.
So tell us the tactics you used.
Just persistence, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it was your charm, wasn't it? It was your boyish charm.
Well, we were mates, I think, we were mates at school.
Yeah.
There's something pretty special about that, I think.
Yeah.
And we always say to our kids, like, being mates with your mates is a good thing, especially when you're growing up.
Yeah. Get to know each other as
friends.
Friendship comes
so
first.
We knew each other, knew each other's families, which is probably a big thing.
Yeah.
And I think we were 21 when we got married.
Yeah.
And sort of had that 5 years without kids, and it was good.
So it sounds like you're both in a similar area of work.
Yeah.
And so you said you studied youth work to become a chappie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is that what you're still doing now? How did that all work out?
No, so I was a chaplain at Caloundra State School for 3.5 years.
Oh, yeah.
I learnt a lot of things the hard way at the school. I was only pretty young. I was only 20.
Early 20s.
Yeah, I think I started at school when I was 19 and that. So a lot of the teachers and a lot of people have funny opinions on what chaplaincy is. But once people realise you're just there to support kids, even now I've got mates I worked with there that I'm still close with. And
what were your major obstacles in that space?
Probably the misconceptions of what chaplaincy is. Like, I think some people... I used to get called a priest a lot. A lot of people would think.
Oh, right.
I was just like, do I look like a priest? And, I always, especially that stage of chaplaincy, I'd talk to people and I say, like, my role is sort of not really a father figure. I didn't have kids, but like an older brother figure, encouraging kids.
So you get alongside of them.
Yeah, and for me, I was just always honest when I'd talk to parents about one of their kids or something.
Yeah.
I'd be the first one to say, I can't give you advice on parenting, but I know a lot of people who can.
Yeah.
So it was just that link between
Yeah.
the issue they're going through and putting them in touch with the right people. And most schools these days are really good with guidance counsellors and a chaplain's just one part of that team. You get to have a lot of fun doing it, and kids are good. Kids make me laugh so much, especially the naughty kids. That was probably the hardest thing for me when a kid would do something naughty.
You saw yourself in them, that was what
I see the
You're like, I did
side.
the same thing when I was at school.
Yeah, and most of the time, a lot of the teachers will find it funny, but you have a responsibility to pull them up on it. And
so you're telling them off with a smile on your face.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah.
You're like, I understand, but.
I try to encourage kids to see the good in themselves.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what did you go on to from that?
Esther's family down south have a big blueberry empire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really, really big show. And I think for us, we just needed to get away from the coast.
Yeah.
Just us two, away from the families and do our own thing for a season. So we went blueberry farming for a while, and I think we were down there for 8 months or a year. You know, those seasons in your life you look back on and you're like, oh, that was just such a good season.
Yeah.
You're trying to find the negatives in it, but you're just like, it was so good.
I was going to say, you probably love that because you seem like a bit of an outdoorsy bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got it. Tick.
I started, working in a school. Every now and then I'd hit a wall where I'd just like, I got to go outside. I got to go do something. So all the activities I tried to run were always outside.
Yeah, right.
Because I hate even being inside. If I have to do paperwork in my job now.
Are you feeling a bit claustrophobic in this
Nah,
studio?
this is fine. This is weird, but it's not good.
That's a bit weird.
But blueberry farm, we were down there. They were just starting a new farm out west of Lismore. So they have a couple of farms there, and I was sort of a part of knocking down what they had there and putting up the new farm. And
so if you loved it so much, why did you leave after 8 months to a year?
Yeah, we felt we wanted to get back into working with people.
Yeah.
Not that working on a farm, you're not working with people, but we just wanted to get back into chaplaincy or something like that. So we actually looked at a few options, talking to people about working. There was something we applied for up in the Territory and that, but I find sometimes doors just get closed for whatever reason and that, and I sort of don't argue with that.
Yeah, it's usually purposeful, isn't it?
Yeah, and I end up getting in touch with the chaplaincy staff and literally said to them, where's this school just out in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have a chaplain? There's an opportunity out there, and
they would have been so pleased to hear that. It would be hard to get chaplains out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it was, and it was just the perfect combination of these two towns that were about 150 k's apart. One of the ladies was on maternity leave, and the lady at one school had finished up. She was an older lady. When you don't have kids, you just say yes. You're just like, yeah, we'll do it. Being out west, I feel I love that. Just being away from the city or being away from the coast. Like, I miss the beach sometimes out there, but we were only going out to do a 6-month maternity leave position, which blew out to about 9 years and 3 kids.
Wow.
And,
Where was that?
And, there's a little town called Richmond, so it's if you got Townsville and then you head west towards Mount Isa, it's halfway between. It's about 500 k's west of Townsville.
Yeah. So all your kids were born out there?
Yeah, so you can't give birth in town.
Yeah.
So you had to go to Mount Isa or Townsville to have the kid. You got to go, it's a long story, but you got to go a month before you're due, just in case you pop early. And then, but we decided each kid to come back down to the sunny coast where the families were.
Yeah.
And have the kids. And
for
our first child, Eden, we came back down for a year.
Yeah.
Not really decided if we were going to go back, but halfway through it, we're just like, we want to go back up so bad. So at the end of that year, we moved back out
and
there.
What
with
was
the
it
kid
that just really you just enjoyed and drew you back there each time?
Something about small towns. Like it has pros and cons, but there's only 400 people in the town. Like
strong sense of community.
Yeah, there is a strong sense of community. It's just still pretty wild. You got a lot of freedom out there. So personally, for me, that's a big thing. Like I just like the house we live in at the moment. Not complaining, but I sort of am. It's only got a little yard and that, and it's, to me that does feel claustrophobic, and that's why we try to get out with our kids camping so they can experience that again.
Need some acreage or something.
And something about country people as well. They're just a different breed of people in a good way. So hospitable. If something happened in town, there'd always be people to help. You know, working at the school, I got to know a lot of the property families and a lot of people in town. And say the school was only 70 kids out there. Yeah, my wife and I, when we first moved there, when we'd run an event, say for the high school, every kid in town would come.
Wow.
And we knew where they all lived, so we dropped them home on the bus. And sort of town where the policeman, will drop the policeman will drop the kids home for you at the end, and half the kids you drop back at the pub after the thing.
The other half they take to jail.
Yeah. But it was, I don't know. I don't even know what the one thing is, but it was just, we just loved it and we felt to be there.
Yeah. So what brought you back? Sorry, I'm stealing
I
your.
was going to say
that too.
But you can ask.
Yeah, what brought you back after 9 years?
I'm not really sure. Sometimes I question it because we did love it out there.
And you miss it?
Yeah, our family, both sides of our families are on the sunny coast. Knowing my grandparents well, and especially my nan was a big part of my life. Yeah, it was just time, and I'd finished working at the school out there, concreting for a while. Had a concreting business out there, and I was roo shooting for a while, macapod harvesting.
How did the kids feel like? Because they would have only known living out there.
Yeah.
How did they feel about coming to the sunny coast to live?
Yeah.
Was that a big change for them?
Yeah, it was a big change. They were pretty young, like I was saying, like us in the Philippines. They just, we just said, we're going back to the coast and on an adventure, and
they go along with it.
Yeah, and we'd come back for Christmas and a few other things, so they knew the sunny coast. It wasn't new to them.
Yeah, true.
But living there, it was a big thing. But they just did what they were told, moved back, and they're the same as us when we were kids. As long as they've got friends, they're happy as.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on something because you mentioned roo shooting.
Yep.
Now, probably for people that are not Australian, they're thinking, how could you shoot kangaroos?
Yeah.
They're kind of a national icon.
Yeah,
They're
well, they are.
So let's put some context around that. They're seen as like vermin here, really, aren't they? They're seen as pests, particularly in sort of outback, aren't they?
Yeah, certain places. Essentially, their numbers just need to be managed.
Yeah.
And instead of doing a cull, so a cull would just be going out and shooting them for no real reason bar lowering numbers. For years there's been a meat trade with it, and that's used for human consumption, dog food, gets sent overseas and that sort of thing. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. But like I said earlier,
I can't quite bring myself to eat kangaroo meat.
It's really lean. It's one of the best meats you can eat.
Yeah, they do kangaroo sausages and things.
It's just psychological for me.
I'm like, this is Joey.
It's very heavily regulated. So it's not, like I said earlier, it's not you just going out and shooting things. There's a lot you got to go through to get licenses to be able to do it, and
and rules around it.
Heaps of rules, access to properties. There's a lot in it, but it was.
So it's like an official job to roo shoot.
There's a fair bit of money in it, like financially. It's a bonus, and it's at night time, so you can do it on a weekend or whatever.
It must be fun though.
It is fun. There's a lot of lonely nights. Like you're a long way from anything, and something goes wrong, you got to deal with it. But
so is it just like one man in a truck with a gun?
Yeah, you got your utes all set up as for it. Like everything's got to be stainless steel. There's all regulations on the ute you have, what you use, the gun you use, everything. And once you're set up, it's smooth sailing to an extent. a lot can go wrong.
So, okay, when you then shoot them, they must be such a heavy weight. How do you then get them and put them in your truck?
Yeah. If you can't drive over to them, you have to drag them back to the... You want to know all the ins and outs.
Yeah, I'm like, because I'm imagining you like Crocodile Dundee right now.
Yeah, so you've got a rail on you. Some people use like a smaller winch, like an arm winch, but I just had a rail. You can hook them up and you slide them up, and then you do what you need to them. You got to gut them and do a few other things.
Wow, you have to do all that as well.
Yeah, and then you got to put a tag on them, and then I have to fill out paperwork saying where I shot it, what time. By sunrise, they got to be in a cold room, so it's a bit of time management. Sounds really official when I say time management. It's you got to have them in the cold room, all signed in, all your paperwork done by pretty much by sunrise.
Yeah, right.
So
you've just shot right up into the red zone of manhood.
That's pretty funny. I've never thought of it like that, but I've always hunted. I've always enjoyed that side of outdoors, probably because it's peace and quiet. I love just being, and it's something about hunting. It's like, especially for food. I know it sounds really primitive, but it's always interests me. You know, you just go to the shops and buy something, whereas 50 years ago you could hunt for your own food and that sort of thing. But now, around here there's not like,
is
it
easy to shoot them because they're really pretty fast?
Everything's, if you want to know the details, everything's got to be shot in the head.
Right.
So and that if you're not shooting them in the head, you can't use the meat. So when you're doing your courses, you have to prove that you can shoot over a certain distance, and
So
there we go.
I think like my stomach's starting to churn. So we'll move on.
I was
just like, because you know, for me growing up, kangaroos and koalas were like, you know, coming from England, they're just like, oh, these beautiful creatures. So the thought of actually having to cull the numbers is quite a rare, kind of messes with my mindset. Yeah. Being an international.
On that note, it was out in a paddock one night that I felt like it was time to move back to the coast.
Right.
Really clearly.
Okay.
And then that was sort of at the end of.
So tell me about that. So it was just a real strong feeling.
Yeah, we'd been for us. We pray about stuff, and I'd probably been saying to God, "Oh, is this it now? Like, am I just going to be old man Caleb in Richmond just doing this?" And I suppose we were comfortable there. In a lot of aspects, financially, had a lot of friends and that. It was probably tempting just to stay there and do that. But, we just felt it was time to move back to the coast. We didn't know what for. I suppose when we moved back, there was a year where I just came back and started concreting, which you don't want to concrete for your whole life. It's just a trade I'd always done on the side. But, we got back and we knew there'd be something that would come up eventually that we sort of felt passionate about, and we started hearing about this community centre that was getting built on the sunny coast right in Calandra, which is pretty rare.
So it's quite recently that you've moved back then, isn't it?
It was 2 years ago now, 2 and a bit years ago. I've been at the centre for nearly a year now, and I said to Esther, I was like, do you know about this centre? She's like, I just started hearing about it. And both of us were like, maybe this is the thing we're sort of meant to put our time into. Doors opened up, some doors shut. I looked at doing chaplaincy there. There's talk about being like a community chaplain in the first place. And I suppose that was probably a little bit overzealous jumping into a role like that when there was no staff there at all at the time. I said to a few of the guys, I was like, well, you're going to need the lawns mowed and maintenance done, toilets cleaned and all that sort of stuff. I was like, is there a maintenance role? And they sort of made that role available. And
do you know, I'm always conscious when I'm in the community centre not to use the toilets, because I think poor Caleb's got to clean these. So I try not to use them.
I wish everyone had that attitude.
I'll just clean it before you leave.
I'll
or
just
the thought that Caleb's been in here cleaning these. And now I've got to sit on this loo.
I try to keep them clean. But we took on that role. Esther's working in admin, doing reception stuff, but it's just a means for us to work with people. Like the role needed to be filled in that maintenance area. I don't find that job really difficult. It's a learning curve. I've never been there, but it's just when the grass needs to be mowed, you mow the grass. When the toilets need to be cleaned, you clean the toilets.
But your life's really about people, isn't it? And that's just a means to facilitate that.
And now the centre's starting to get busier and busier literally every week. There's new families coming through, and now the playgrounds are sort of opened up and that sort of thing. And
we're in the gym together, 6 a.m. Yeah. The early shot, the early ones.
I haven't been for 3 or 4 weeks. I hurt my back.
I know. I've been wondering where you've been.
I'm getting old. I'm 34 now.
Look, I've got at least way more years on you, and I can do it.
Yeah. So you really found your place in the community centre and your wife as well.
Yeah.
Working there.
Yeah, I think we have. We only live around the corner from the centre.
Yeah.
When we bought there, we didn't even know the centre was around the corner. So
that's amazing.
It has its pros and cons because when an alarm or something goes off at night, I'm like, even the other night, someone left the door open. Jeez, it annoys me.
And so can you hear it from your house? Or?
No, I'll have a thing on my phone. My phone goes off at 11:15 the other night, and I check the camera. Someone's left a door open.
You're the first responder.
Go down there, and that door gets slammed so hard. And the music was left on.
So for everyone listening who goes to that centre, make sure you shut the doors.
Yeah, if you're the last
turn the music off.
Shut the doors.
So you really are the guy that cleans the toilets, mows the lawn.
Yeah. I don't mow lawns yet, so we're still waiting for the landscapers.
Your security, you're kind of on call, and you also play music.
Yes, now I did actually meet you once. Well, I didn't meet you, but I saw you leading the music at a women's event I went to at the centre.
Yep.
And can you imagine Caleb surrounded by 150
women?
Yeah,
I was quite impressed that you could handle it.
I said yes. So it's for a women's event. I was just like, so I went and got all my bogan mates to play with me.
And there was an incident. And something jumped on your face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were midway through a song. And I thought it was a huntsman. Yeah. It must have crawled over my hat and was on my face. And it was like a pretty pinnacle part of a song. And I was just like, oh, no, my wife would love seeing this. This would make her laugh so much. Yeah, it was on my face. And I thought, what is it? And I thought, oh, it's it. And I was trying to sing at the same time.
Just ignore it.
Yeah, and then I grabbed it. It was a big old praying mantis, and I was like, "Where's the praying mantis got it?"
Even come from?
That's
it's just and why is it chosen to be on my face?
And it was a church thing, and it's got a praying mantis. Now that's interesting.
But if anyone it could happen to, Caleb, you were the one that could handle it the most.
It would. Sometimes I think God just laughs at me, and He does this on purpose.
He's like, "Hey, here's a good joke to throw something at Caleb while he's."
And I happened to be kind of up emceeing that night, and I spotted it.
Yeah.
I missed the whole thing. I heard about it, but I was sitting there. I didn't actually see it, but I was way up the back. But well.
So are we ready for some gold now, do you think, Beck?
Oh, I think we are. I think you're a man of convictions and you love the outdoors.
Yep.
And it's taken you to many places where you've just found a place for your family and to expand your talents and find a place of home in the outback.
Yep.
But then your convictions and your faith has brought you back here, and you found another community where you're just finding this place to spread out again and develop your skills and love on people. And I think you have a great community heart. That's the gold I see in you, is that you love on people and the community is everything to you, that you put yourself into people and the surroundings and you help make the places better, not just the people, but you help make the place they live in better. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think you're able to, you're a real guy's guy as well. All your interests are things that would really connect with a lot of people, but you're able to take people to deeper issues in their life, to look at them on a deeper level. And I think that's kind of a rare thing for a guy that's a real blokey bloke, to be able to connect with people on a deeper level is actually pretty rare, and it's a great gift that you have. And I know you've done a lot of self-reflection for yourself as well, and you've worked on yourself and tried to adjust how you parent your children, how you look at the world. And one of the things you said, and which I didn't say in our intro, was be a servant, not a slave. And the more and more I thought about that statement, there's just so much in that. And like my summary of that is, whatever you do, don't do it out of obligation, but do it willingly and wholeheartedly. And really that is your goal, because that's exactly who you are. And that's exactly what you do. You give your all to everything, and you do it willingly and wholeheartedly. And it really shows, and it impacts the people around you. So, yeah.
Thanks.
On that note, it was really great to have you,
Yeah, it was
Caleb.
great.
Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I'd
I
love
hope you
to
find many wide open places to go and just enjoy.
We're every second weekend at the moment is
Yeah.
our goal to get away with the kids. And
Yeah.
they love it.
Yeah.
Builds
That's
resilience, I think, in your kids.
Yeah.
And it builds resilience
skills
for us.
as well, doesn't it? Like
Does,
survival skills and
Yeah, they're good. They're just, I think they come home and appreciate their beds they sleep in.
Yeah.
running water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you
it's
so
awesome.
much for being
Thank you.
here with us. And I hope to see you in the gym again very soon.
Shortly.
Thanks so much, Caleb.
So we just had Caleb Beck. And other than him being quite shy, I think, actually, because Caleb, right,
Yeah.
is actually a really funny guy.
Yeah.
Him and my hubby, Noel, they work together, and so they just connect and they're laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
But I think he was pretty reserved.
Yeah, look, put a microphone in front of people and it can do that to you.
But he's cool, hey?
Yeah, oh yeah. And such a great story. Like his love for the outdoors and adventurous spirit is remarkable. Like he must have just had such a great time out in the middle of nowhere.
And I think it just has actually reinstilled for me the value of being outside. Just in the last couple of years, I do a lot more walking, as you know, because we walk
Yes.
together. And I'm beginning to get this love for being outside. There's just something that is so good about it for your mental health. And I think to encourage your children to, as you say, be off their devices,
Yeah.
get outside. It's, you know, there's just so much to that. It's
Yeah.
great for your mental health. I think you learn great skills when you're outside. Family come together, and it's
And one
so
thing
important.
that really stood out to me about Caleb's story is his intentional desire to be part of community, and not just part of community, but to help improve community wherever he goes. So when it was out in where he was in the outback,
Richmond, I think he
Richmond,
said, yeah.
when it was out there, he really became part of that community. So much so that 1 year turned into 9 years.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then feeling that compelling calling to come back and then be part of this community at Meriden, and has intentionally invested himself into the people in the community there as well. So he's very community minded, which is really inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so nicely put. You summarise that. Just lovely, Beth.
It makes the world a better place
It
when
does,
people
yeah.
are community minded.
Yeah. We need a few more Calebs.
Yes, definitely. It's out giving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like giving to others.
So that's it for today's podcast. You'll find us on all the major podcast platforms. The podcasts come out every Wednesday. We'd love to hear from you on our socials, the Gold Diggers Podcast. Tell us about your story so we can find the gold in you.
Easy as pie, lemon, apple or cherry. Loving you is so very sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be such a piece of cake? And your smile is the icing. Loving you is a party. Honey, you're my sugar.